lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and today I'm talking about a book that I definitely don't hear talked about nearly enough, and that's the Spectre series from 2001, the one by J.M. Dematties and Ryan Sook. And this is when Hal Jordan, as you can clearly see on the cover, was the Spectre. Now, I felt torn. I mean, I didn't grow up with Hal Jordan as Green Lantern. By the time I got into comics, it was already Kyle Rayner. Hal Jordan was Parallax, by the time I was really into comics. I believe it's like a couple years away. I think it was like 03 for Green Lantern Rebirth. I could be wrong. But there's a couple years of him as Spectre. And I think it took place in the Day of Judgment storyline where he actually took on being this Spirit of Wrath. But going back and revisiting, I don't think I've read this particular issue since it came out. And I gotta say, I think I enjoy it now more than I did back when it first came out. So good. I mean, Ryan Sook is like one of my favorite artists, James DeMatteis. With him and Keith Giffen, what they did with the Justice League series. I love his writing too. So just such a great creative team. We open up and we see this like ink blot test and it takes on the shape of the Spectre. And it's Hal Jordan's brother saying, like, I know my brother's alive. I know he's out there. And everybody thinks he's insane. And, like, no, it's just grief, like, that's telling you this. And we flash, and obviously is he alive? Is he dead? I'm not sure. Actually, 2005, I think, is when Green Lantern Rebirth came out, if I remember correctly now. Because he was definitely Spectre during Identity Crisis. It doesn't matter. Whatever. He's Spectre for a few years. But, he comes upon this woman at this church talking about how she murdered and tortured children and babies. What kind of a sick animal would do that? And, the pastor trusted you, the community trusted you. As she's asking for forgiveness and, she's begging him, I tried to resist, but it was the devil. The devil, he made me do these things. In the name of the divine justice and the presence that permeates all, I say that the responsibility is yours and you must pay. Your diseased soul has infected me, impregnated me. Look at what you created here. Take your child. It's like this demon with this like umbilical cord comes out. But as he's watching this demon overtake her, Hal Jordan's personality comes through and we see the Green Lantern symbol within his costume. And he's like, no, I can't do this. Go, leave this place, turn yourself in. The Spectre will hunt you to the ends of the earth, hound you to the ends of your days if you don't. And she says she will, but as she runs, nope, she's going to get her shit. And these demons fucking just like completely eat her. And you just look at this. I love this because Ryan Sook, like, he's done so much stuff in the Hellboy Magnolia verse. And definitely, like, you can see those vibes, heavy shadows, a little bit of an angular look, like just such a great issue. And I kind of want to go back and reread this whole series. And it's interesting because I just recently read that Orion series by Walt Simonson, which was around the same time as this was coming out. Just reminds me, like, there's so many good characters, DC, same to Marvel. Like, these characters deserve spotlights too. Like, I know that is Hal Jordan, so he's like was Green Lantern, but it's a Spectre book. It's not a Green Lantern book, and there's an Orion, a New Gods book. Like, there's so many untapped potential with characters and new titles that it just reminds me how much I miss like this era. But as he's asking God for forgiveness, he hears his voice. Who does he hear? Abin Sur is there to help him, and he's like, "You've still got a lot to work out. First of all, I'm not a man, I'm a ghost, and the only one who can help you, Hal, is you." He's like, well, what are you doing following me? And so they come upon... So basically, this whole series is about, him redeeming himself, right? And getting that redemption because of all the stuff he did. Obviously, we don't know that he was paralyzed, that he was influenced. Like, that doesn't come till later. But they go up to this building. It's just, like, literally called Hell's Mall, right? Devil, Soul, Satan, the Cardinal, Demon Baby Bewildered, and he's looking for answers, and he comes upon there to get them. Then we flash, and we get Carol Ferris, who's also, like, having visions that, she thinks Hal's alive too, and she doesn't know what's real. She feels like he's there. And then we flash, we're back in this, quote-unquote mall, and now Hal's dealing directly with Satan. And then it just gets so deep into this, like, supernatural, God, heaven, hell, all this kind of stuff. Hal just has questions. Satan is kind of manipulating him and trying to tell him, I got some answers for you. And he's, like, you can see the, like, I'm not going to seek answers from you. And then and I love this too, like, did you ever think that maybe the Spectre never served God, that he's been an agent of hell all along, torturing the damned for the sheer joy of it? You felt that today, didn't you? Felt the delight in making that woman pay for her sin. And Hal doesn't. Like, that's not what he wants. And he really wants to make this a spirit of redemption instead of wrath. And that's also pretty cool, because that's definitely a different take on the Spectre. And he knows that this is power, a precious gift from God. That we see after he attacks, like, now Satan has taken on this, like, different persona almost. He gets pissed at Abin Sur, saying, you've been working for her all along. That's why you've been there. But you see that Abin's spirit wanders the world, but his essence remains there in the damned. And this is what's really crazy. He says, it's true, I've been in hell, my soul burning since the moment I died, but I've been here because of you. Because time works differently. When Abin died, they already knew that, the powers that be already knew that Hal Jordan would eventually become evil, because Abin gave him that ring and basically made it so that Hal could become the Green Lantern and then kill all the lanterns. He's punished for it. His redemption is, for him to have peace, he has to help Hal have his redemption as well. So Satan's playing, their games with Hal and Abin, and you just see, like, all the different, like, areas of hell. And again, just give yourself over to the tortures of hell, and then, dear spirit of wrath, you'll have your answers. And he does. He bends the knee, and Abin's, like, taken aback, like, what are you doing? He's being tortured, and just, like, this swirl that Hal Jordan becomes. And, all this suffering is multiplied 10 million times, looping through his consciousness. But then we get peace and light, and he goes to heaven. And, like, you see this interpretation is just, like, breathtaking. I love the way it's just, like, the stars flow into him. And you see, like, these, like, fish swimming into birds and turning into flowers. So he's, like, starting to realize, like, what he's doing. And it is for God, right? And then we see that woman from the beginning thanking him as her spirit floats up to heaven. And he rejects the devil and goes on his way. And even saying, perhaps it's time for you to reveal... The devil says, perhaps it's time for you to reveal your true face and me to reveal mine, and then disappears. And that interpretation of Satan, of the devil, continues to take place throughout this run. From what I remember, it has been a really long time, but it's just such a great book. And Abin doesn't know what happened when that was going on. And he's like, I found another way for the Spectre and the world. And then Carol gets visited by Jack, Hal's brother, and is like, oh, I know he's alive, and we're going to find him. You see this look, like she believes it, and they're going to go figure out what happened with Hal. But awesome. I love these two, where you get, like, little backstory on the Spectre and how this series came about. And the John Ostrander, Tom Mandrake run of Spectre is definitely one that I wanted to do for the month of Halloween. Perfect, like, horror themed. I was going through my books, and this book just, like, popped up. I was like, okay, maybe I'll start off with this, and then I'll jump back and talk about the Jim Corrigan run. Great series, great book. I know it's not collected, but it's super affordable. So if you kind of dug what you saw, if you're a fan of either of these creators, or you want to kind of just, like, jump back into an era of DC that was just full of such, like, vast characters getting so many series, and they weren't canceled after 6. They would go for, like, a couple years. This is definitely a book I highly recommend. Go pick it up. Stay tuned for some coverage of the other Spectre series. Like I said, check out the Halloween horror playlist that we have on here too. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.